So, hope everyone's doing good. Been a minute since I've made a video going over the slingshot strategy. I had a ton uploaded. They were really good videos, but I'm gonna give you guys a fresh look and kind of go over this trade that I just caught, and kind of showing you guys the benefits of following your rules, kind of how I follow my stop loss, and the thought process going into this trade, going against the trend, and going for this buy right here using the slingshot model. So, first things first, going over kind of bias and what I was looking at. If we look here on this 1 hour, right before we had caught, well, let me just go over this first. Right here first got entered in. On the slingshot model, we had our first reaction after sweeping these equal lows right here. And got our first reaction, got our liquidity sweep, kind of got a break of structure right here. We closed past here, and because we had this inverse fair value gap up here, when I got entered in, I immediately moved my 10-point stop that was originally here. When I first got tapped in, I moved it all the way up to this low that was created once I finally got into profit, just because of this inverse fair value gap, and I didn't want to, because if we were going to reject off of that, then we were going to go lower. So took a loss right here. It wasn't too much money. It was probably like $100 or something like that. And then got re-entered in back here on the liquidity sweep. First reaction here. This whole move right here, liquidity sweep. And then we got our break of structure once we closed past here and inversed any kind of fair value gap that was on this side. Let me get rid of that so you can see that. Right here with these candles, we closed past any kind of fair value gap or anything like this order block here, breaker block now. So now we're looking for buys. Reasoning why I was looking for buys is because on this 1 hour, we closed and we're showing strong resistance below or above this low. If we were to close past, like say this candle were to close past or really close to this low right here, then I would have been looking to target this 3 hour and 4 hour fair value gap down below. Right here, we got this 3 hour, and then we got this 4 hour down here too as well. And the reasoning why I did not go for that is because of how we closed before. The bodies, our wicks go past it, but the bodies closed up. So now we're looking to go higher, or at least to fill whatever imbalances are up here. So with that bias, I got in here on the 45-minute, started seeing that we were closing up, showing some more resistance and move to the upside. Got in the 15-minute, noticed that, not noticed, but we were at the 81 equilibrium. So, price is going to be chopping around this area. Let me go back down. So we knew price was going to be chopping around this area. We knew that we were either going to come down here, and you see where this 4 hour and 3 hour fair value gap is down to this low. And then we also have our 45-minute and a 1 hour fair value gap paired up here. That was a pull, which is relating back to the sense that how we closed here on this 45-minute and on the 1 hour, we closed above this low here. So that indicates, at least for me and how I get my bias and direction, is that we were going to come fill this before we came down to here. So with all of that stacked on top to each other, like I said earlier, I got stopped out here. Not break even, but for like 2.5 points, 3 points, because I thought that this was our liquidity sweep and our reaction, but we went for one more move, and that allowed me to enter back in right here after this break of structure. I was willing to risk it. For you guys, you can do this. I suggest you do this too, because sometimes this exact thing is going to happen to you, and it's going to take trust and more practice with the strategy to be able to do this. But as long as you follow your stop tight and with the acknowledging of what is around, or what your surroundings are when you get entered in, like this inverse fair value gap on my first trade, that saved me a ton of profit. Because if I would have got stopped out here for max stop loss for my 10 points, like that would have been a lot of loss compared to just losing just this. And you see, we would have went all the way back down. And this is just from experience. This is, you'll start learning how to follow your stop loss and what you're comfortable with. But you know, we always talk about price moving true, and true price movement after tapping into here would be either we would inverse this and go higher, or we react off of it and go lower. And immediately, as soon as I saw that we reacted really strongly off of it, brought my stop loss really close to this low right here. That one right there. That's where I brought it up to, got stopped. Then we had the break of structure, liquidity sweep, and on the 27, our levels paired up. Right here, we get it almost pair perfect with this fair value gap there. We get one almost pair perfect with this tiny one here. That's where I got entered in at. I'm pretty sure there was something on the 3-minute. No, there was not. Nothing on the 3-minute. But the target for a reason why we were going to go up was because of this 45-minute fair value gap that needed to get filled, and all this chop here that was through, all this low resistance liquidity that we needed to get out. And on the 1 hour, we had a fair value gap up here that we needed to get filled. And because we closed above this low on the 1 hour and on the 45-minute. Hope that makes sense. I try to keep these videos short and quick for you guys, but literally that's all that goes into this headspace. And in my bias video, I go more in depth on the highs and lows and closing the candles beforehand and all of that. So you can look at that video if you would like, to give you kind of a better idea of what I mean by this situation here, on how I knew we were going to go back up to this 45 before going down to the 3-hour fair value gap. Like I said, I love to keep things simple, and I think that a lot of people's struggles in trading is because we try to overcomplicate things and we hear all these big words and we wanted to make it seem as cool as we possibly can make it seem. But if you just stick to basic trend lines and basic understandings of the candle closing and finding which PD array to target or which direction that price is going to want to move to, and be patient enough to wait for your setup, then you'll be good. With that being patient, if, you know, some of you guys, whenever you're first learning out this strategy and stuff like that, if you have an inverse fair value gap resting above that you have to fight through, and you're not confident in that, don't take that trade. You know, I would call this like a B+ setup, A setup, you know, because you have to work through this zone. Here, we didn't have to. We had our liquidity sweep. We already had our reaction, so this inverse fair value gap doesn't really mean much to us at all. So now this setup is way better and has to fight through way less than this one did previously back here. And this is why, you know, this one was smooth sailing straight to TP. All right. Let me know if you got any questions. DM's always open. Happy New Year, too. Let's kill this year. It's 2026, guys. It's time to kill this shit.